All right, I'm going to do some reteaching here. Yesterday, you did questions 1 through 12, and you submitted your answers through the Google form. Now I'm going to do the problems for you, and you can kind of see how you did. I recorded how you did, but if there were some you said, I just don't know how to do that, this video is a teaching video for you to remember and to review and to think again about some of those skills we learned early on in the year. All right, let's get into business here. Question number 1 says, the table below shows the number of pennies, nickels, and dimes and quarters that Heather has in her purse. What is the ratio of dimes to nickels? Okay, dimes to nickels. So the way you can write a ratio, and it says express it in a fraction form. So the ratio would be dimes to nickels. So we have dimes, we have 9 dimes and 6 nickels. So it's 9 over 6, but both of those can be divided by 3. So let's see what we get. So 3 over 2. And there's your answer. And what that means is that for every 3 dimes, there is 2 nickels. 3 to 2. Okay. Let's go on to number 2. A cookie recipe calls for a ratio of 4 cups of flour. So it's flour to 3 cups of sugar. Okay, so we have flour to sugar, so it's 4 cups to 3 cups, 4 cups of flour to 3 cups of sugar. For each cup of flour that is used, how many cups of sugar are needed? All right, so we want to figure out for every 1 cup of flour. So we get, this is what we don't know. So 4 cups of flour, we want to go to 1 cup of flour. And then we'll do the same to this. So how do I get from 4 to 1? Well, I divide this by 4. How do I get from here to here? I divide this by 4. So 3 divided by 4. And that gets me 3/4 cup. And we're down here, so we're sugar. Cup of sugar. Which is G. So the trick here is that it said each cup, so you want to get it down to 1 cup of flour. So you know you had flour on top here, flour to flour. So 4 cups of flour to 3 cups of sugar equals 1 cup of flour to 3/4 cup of sugar. You set up a little ratio and take it from there. Okay. Number 3. Which ratio is not equivalent to 5 to 8? Okay, I'm going to set this up as a fraction. 5 to 8. And I'm going to see which one is not. So let's see if 10 out of 18. Now how do I get from 5 to 10? Times 2. Is that times 2? 8 times 2 is 16. Okay, so that one is not. Let's see if any other. 5 to 8 equals 15 to 24. That to that is times 3. 8 times 3 is 24. So they're equivalent. Okay, so that one works. 5 over 8 equals 20 over 32. That would be times 4. 8 times 4 is 32. Yep. So that one doesn't work. Now let's do 5 to 8. Is that equal to 10 to 16? Times 2 times 2. That one works too. So the only one that doesn't work is A. And it's always good to check and make sure everything matches up. Even if you get A as the first one, don't just go with it. Always check. All right, number 4. Mrs. Wilkinson can buy a 20-ounce box of cereal for $3.60 or a 28-box of cereal for $4.20. Which is a better buy? Okay, so I have a 20-ounce box of cereal, and that is for $3.60. Now I'm going to need my calculator here, because I'm going to get it down to, I'm going to compare these 1 ounce. The other one is a 28 ounce. I should label these. And the 28 box is $4.20. Now, I want to see if I get 1 ounce of this one and 1 ounce of this one. So how do I get from here to here? I divide that by 20. So now I have to divide this by 20. So let's do that. Let's go $3.60 divided by 20 equals 0.18. 18 cents an ounce. Now this one divided by 28, and I divide this by 28. 4.20 divided by 28 equals 0.15 cents an ounce. So if I'm really watching my money, I like to get things cheaper. So I'm going to get 1 ounce for 15 cents. I'm not going to buy 1 ounce for 18 cents. That costs more money. So the best buy is going to be the 28-ounce box of cereal. Even though it costs a little more to begin with, it's cheaper per the ounce. Okay? Number 5. The ratio table shows how much Raymond's brother earns for working different numbers of hours. How many hours would he need to work in order to earn 176. Okay, I'm going to make this bigger. So, what I'm thinking here is I want to see what here to here is. Or I could also go from here to here. How do I get from 40 to 5? And this one, it's divide by 8. Now, does that work for this one? 64 divided by 8 is 8. Okay, so that one's also divided by 8. 120 divided by 8 equals 15. Oh, that one also divided by 8. So now that I know all 3 of those are divided by 8, I'm going to take this, and to get the number of hours, I'm going to divide it by 8. 176 divided by 8 equals 22 hours, which is 8. Okay? So you just figure out what's going and what works in each of them, and you can feel confident that it will work for the one you're missing. All right, let's go to the next one. There are 30 students in Mr. Holland's music class. If 30% of the students play in the school band, how many students in the class play in the school band? Okay, so there are 30 students, and 30% of the school plays in the band. So, which is times 30%, will get me the number I need. Now, hopefully you remember how to convert 30% to a decimal. You take this and go over 2. So it's 30 times 0.30. And that will get me how many students? So 30 times 0.30 equals 9 students. And that is A. That's how many? That's 30%. Now, the way we can kind of see if this makes sense, if there's 30 kids in the class, let's take that to 50%. What's 50% of 30? Well, that's 15. Half would be 15. So we wanted 30%, which must be less than 15, which is the 9. And 9 is less than 15. So that all works good. It makes sense. It checks out. All right. Number 7. All right, this is a short answer. Jasmine answered 19 out of 25 questions correctly on a quiz. About what percent of her answers were correct? So she got 19 out of a total of 25. Now, you could solve this a bunch of different ways. I see that at 25, I want to get it out of 100. So I could go like this, get that to 100. That's times 4. And then 19 times 4 equals 76%. So I could go there, and it's 76 over 100, which is also 0.76, which if I take it over 2, gets me 76%. Okay, so they got 76. The other way I could do it is 19 divided by 25. 19 divided by 25 equals 0.76, and then I do the same thing, and I get 76%. So, how many did she get? 76% is the exact. But because it says about, I would even go like this. 20 over 25, that times 4 gets me 100. That times 4 gets me 80. So you could say it's about 80%. Exactly, it's 76%, but it's about 80%. She did good. Okay. Number 8. Which of the following shows the rational numbers in order from least to greatest? Okay. Remember that chart I showed you? This would be really helpful right now. And it was dealing with decimal, fraction, and percent. And the way I remember it is I go alphabetical. Decimal, so I have a D, an F for fraction, and a P for percent. Now D comes first, so this must be my decimal. And fraction is next in the alphabet, so that's fraction. And then the P is the one farthest percent. Okay, so we got a fraction here in the middle, percent on that side, and decimal here. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to get all of these in the same. Then we can compare them. So we have 25%. We have 0.22. And then we have 1/5. 1/5. So the 25% as a decimal, we take this and go over 2, so that's 0.25. And then if I want that as a fraction, it's 25th over 100, 25th hundredths. Divide each of those by 25. And we get 1 over 4, so 1/4. Okay. 22. I'm going to make that into a percent. Go over to 22%. Now, if I want that as a fraction, it's going to be 22 over 100. Those are both even, so I go divide it to 11/50ths. Okay. Oops, I did that wrong. 11/50ths. There you go. Now, 1/5. Let's do 1 divided by 5 equals 0.2. And then if I take it 2 over, that would be 20%. Now, I'm going to circle the ones we started with. We have 25%. Oh, I'll do it in a different color. 25%, 0.22, and 1/5. So now I want to put them from least to greatest. So I'm going to go with percentage here. The smallest percentage is 20%. So we started with 1/5, so that one's going to be the smallest. And there's only one that starts with that, so I'm thinking it's that. Because 20% would be the smallest and 22% would be bigger, which was that 0.22, that one. And then 25% would be the biggest. Okay. A lot of work, but it's good when you can get the right answer. And these are good skills to know. Able to put something from a decimal to a fraction to a percent and back and forth. All right, on this one, it asks what the equivalent, what would be the same if I have 66%, what is the decimal equivalent to this percent? So I'm going to set it up as a decimal, a fraction, and a percent. Okay, there we go. I want to go from here to here. So if I start at percent, I know it's a 66%. And the way I go from percent to decimal, I start where the decimal is and I go over 2 because I'm going that way. Boom, boom. So it's 0.66, which is B. Okay. This chart is so helpful. I love it so much. Let's go 10. Number 10. How is the decimal 0.55 written as a fraction? Okay, so then I have fraction, then I have percent. Okay, so it gives us the decimal 0.55. It wants to know what is the fraction in simplest form. So I don't need to worry about percent. Even though I could do it, it's 55%. I just take that over 1, 2, and add a percent. Or I could just say it, 55, not tenths, that's that, hundreds. 55 hundredths. And that's the fraction, but I want it in simplest form. So 55 over 100. If there's a 5 and a 0, I know they can each be divided by 5. That's 11 over 20. Divide this side by 5. Divide this side by 5. So 11 over 20. That's as simple as they get. Nothing will go into 11. So the answer is G. All right, we have 2 more to go. Caleb's receipt for lunch is shown below. If Caleb used a $10 bill, how much change will he receive? Okay, so I have to add all of this up to see what his bill was. And I'm going to use my calculator. So we go 3.79 plus soup for $1.45 plus drink for $1.29 plus tax, which is 39 cents, equals $6.92. That's how much his bill was. If he paid with a 10, so I have a $10 and no cents, I'm going to subtract this 6, and I line up my decimals, 92. And whatever is left will be how much change I'll receive. So I go to my calculator, 10.00 minus 6.92. And I get 3.08. So I still have $3, which makes sense. If I did a lunch that was close to $7 and I pay with a 10, I'm going to get $3 back. So D, 308. Okay? And the last one. Colleen rode her bike 9.5 miles in 0.08. what was her average speed in miles per hour? Okay, so we have 9.5 miles in 0.8 hours. And I want to know if that's 1 hour, how many miles is she going? Now this one is a little tricky, so it's going to be miles. I use the cross method on this. So I do this times this, 9.5 times 1, divided by this, gets me that. So 9.5 times 1 is 9.5, and then I divide that by 0.8, and I get 11.875. So my average speed was 11 miles per hour, or 11.875 miles per hour in 1 hour. Per hour. 11.875 per hour. And that looks like it's F. There we have it. Okay. Hopefully this started to trigger back some memories and some learning that we did early on in the year. If you have any questions, let me know. But hopefully this was a good review. All right.